All right, all right. Showboating Sports, guys. It's your man, Scott Free. Hey, if you're new to the channel, like, subscribe, and share. And make sure you guys hit the bell notification icon. But okay, we're going to talk to you about the fight last night that occurred. Congratulations to Jermell Charlo for his undisputed bout, being the first 154-pound champ to be undisputed in the four-belt era. Man, I don't know if you guys got to see the fight, but the fight was really, really nice. They fought in the Punch Bowl. Really good fight. This fight was kind of similar to the first fight when it came out. Had a little bit of similarities, but the thing about it is that Jermell Charlo made a lot of adjustments in this fight. Now, I'm not taking away from Brian Castano because Brian Castano done exactly what Brian Castano does, what's in his wheelhouse. He's a pressure fighter, and he pulls straight ahead, you know. Like I said, it was a really good fight. First round, Jermell Charlo came out, did a little bit of good boxing, felt him out. Towards the next couple of rounds, Brian Castano seemed like he was kind of heating up a little bit because the first round had some good fireworks towards the end of the round. I know Brian Castano said that he wanted to start a little bit early, start pressing a little bit more, and so did Jermell Charlo. They both said that they were going to be pretty much be aggressive in this fight. So that was definitely a good thing. And towards as the round started going on, people started both of the two guys started relaxing a little bit more. Jermell seemed like he was trying to get his respect in. Brian Castano, at the end of every round, he would turn it up towards the end of the round, maybe in hopes to steal the round. And that's what worked in the first fight. And like I said, Brian Castano came in. He threw a lot of shots, but if you really look at it, a lot of those shots did Jermell kind of deflect them. They kind of rolled off his gloves. A few of them he was pulling back away from the shot, as the shot might have very clipped his nose a few times. But now I'm not saying that Brian Castano didn't get in any good punches, because he really did. He landed a lot of good punches, and it showed that Jermell Charlo had a good, tough chin of iron. I mean, his chin is iron, man. If you want to say, can that guy take a punch? He showed the guy can take a punch. And so as the fights kept going on towards the middle, later rounds, let's say about the 6th, 7th round, I started seeing Jermell started, he stopped somewhere in there. It seemed like he kind of was a little winded 5th round. That's what it seemed like, because they was trading shots. And Jermell is one of the type of guys that if you hit him and you want to brawl, he'll brawl. And Brian Castano, that's what he wanted. That plays into his wheelhouse. And come to find out in the post-fight, Derek James told him, said, look, man, we do not have to go in there and trade shots with these guys. We can go in there and box, stick to the boxing, go back to the body, and break him down. And so thank goodness Jermell paid attention to his trainer. He came back out, started boxing, started working off the jab. Then you started seeing Jermell change a little bit. He kind of settled down where it wasn't where he was trying to trade shots as much and try to do a firefight. And he kept his back off the ropes really good throughout the fight, because as Castano comes forward, you know what you're going to do. You're going to back up. Castano is a really good fighter of cutting off the ring. So he put Jermell's back against the ropes, but Jermell was smart enough to get the hell off the ropes. So he got off the ropes, used his footwork, got back to the center of the ring as much as he could, as he could force it to get back to the center of the ring. Because like I said, Brian Castano was not having that. He's going to keep coming forward ahead no matter what you hit him with. He was steady, going to keep coming forward. So like I said, Jermell towards the 7th, 8th round, he kind of changed up a little bit. And he started picking the shots a little bit. I didn't see him wasting a lot of unnecessary energy. And he said that in his press conference, too. He said that his words were, I didn't have to do all that other stuff, all the stuff on top, because I saw that Castano was respecting my power. And so I didn't have to do all the extra stuff. So I just figured, hey, I would stand still, pick my shots a little bit more, and counter them a little bit more. And I think that through some of those shots that Jermell traded with him, I think Brian Castano knew that he couldn't just keep walking in there, because those punches hurt. He kept getting caught with some pretty good punches, and they both got caught with some good punches, right? And so I think that Castano, the only reason why I say Castano, I ain't going to say the only reason, I am addressing Castano's because he's the one that got knocked out. And I think that earlier rounds that Jermell was going to the body and then going back to the head and trying to get those body shots to make Castano drop his guard a little bit so he could get some better, cleaner shots in. I think that worked towards the 7th, 8th round. I think he started breaking them down just a little bit. I think both of those two fighters were definitely winded. Both those two fighters were definitely winded. I'm sorry, I was getting a little bit of feedback. But both those fighters were a little bit winded, and I think that both of them had out those firefights was kind of catching up to him. But I think Jermell kind of made sure that he worked that jab a little bit more. He jabbed to the body a lot. Brian Castano dropped some hands, dropped his guard a little bit, and then that's when the counter started happening for Jermell, and it started taking over the rest of the fight. By the 9th round, you can see Castano was getting hit. He was getting a little bit. You can see that it was kind of throwing him off a little bit. A few times he got stunned, and then towards that last round, man, it was a beautiful. He just kept catching Castano with some counters, and those counters he kept catching him with is because Castano, every time he would throw a punch, Castano would lean would throw his punch and then lean to the right. And as he would lean, that's when Jermell would hit him with that hook and hit him at the top of the head, and it grazed his head. And it gave, what was crazy was it was like a delayed reaction. So when Jermell hit him, and Jermell came back in to put his guard up and stand to see what else he was going to do, by that time Brian just kind of fell down. He slumped over, and I was like, what? And after that, I knew he was caught. Referee tried to give him benefit of the doubt to see what happened, because it kind of threw everybody out. But we knew at that point he was really dazed. He was really bad dazed. The fight should have been stopped right there at that point. But I know they probably wanted to give him a chance because they're fighting for undisputed, and he wanted to give him benefit of the doubt, you know. And that's the way you can get a boxer hurt. But I can't second guess the ref, because maybe the ref thought that he did enough or he could recover, or just want to see him recover. But anyway, he let the action get back on. The ref did. Jermell came over, threw a couple more good shots, ended it with a lovely hook to the body, and it was it. The fight was over. They stopped the fight. And so I take my hat off to Brian Castano. Great fighter. I mean, he's a really good fighter, man. He really is. And do not take this loss to Jermell Charlo like the guy's washed up or the guy's some kind of second-tier fighter, because this guy's A1. He just was in there with a better fighter, and a fighter that's a beast, man. The guy has been through hell and back. The thing about it is that when you fight heavy competition, iron sharpens iron. That's why you see these guys after one war after the next. There's not a war that takes a lot of fight out of them as much, you know, but a war that they kind of come through, that they have to stand in there in the fire. They have to stand in the kitchen. They have to stand right there in the firework and win the bout. You know, when you got a fighter that's doing that over and over and over again through the Tony Harrisons and through all the other people he fought, it's sharpening them, man. This Castano fight, if this had happened 3-4 fights ago, Castano may have won that fight, you know? But it's because of those other fights that have taught Jermell to listen to Derek James, to stay calm in there, to learn all these other different tricks. That's why it's so important to keep taking these heavy fights. And that's what people don't understand, that when you have a fighter that you love and he's taking shortcuts and he's trying to fight around, at some point in time, those shortcuts are going to come back and bite. Those shortcuts are going to come back and bite him in his ass. You can bet that. So all these fighters out here, they're not taking on there and they're picking and choosing. You should only pick and choose when you're on your way out the door and you're leaving out. Maybe it's your last fight. Maybe you already have all the belts, and I can understand that there. But if you're this young fighter and you're trying to go up and you're trying to make a name for yourself and you're trying to solidify yourself, become a Hall of Famer, and just trying to be in history, you got to keep taking the tough fights. And the only fights that I say is that I don't really condone the cherry picking, but I do know that as a fighter, you can't fight everybody. There's no way you can fight everybody. You can't fight every big name. You're going to have a few names on there that's not the biggest name, that's not the best that everybody like to see. So that's why I say on some of those towards the end of your career, I know you'll pick a great big fight, and then you might pick a fight of a person that might not be the biggest name out there, you know? And so, but you'll still fight that person, which is still a good fighter, but he might not be up to the very top. And so I say to that, as young fighters, you got to try to keep striving for the top. You got to keep striving for all these big names, because that's going to keep you sharp. But once you're already sharp and you're on your way to the road to retirement and your career has been made, we can kind of understand it a little bit. But anyway, guys, that's straight up no chaser. Shout out to Jermell Charlo. Shout out to Derek James, who should definitely get Fighter of the Year already for what he's done already with Jermell and Earl Spence. He's done a really good job. Hopefully the Earl Spence and Bud Crawford fight can be made real soon. I'm looking out for that. I heard those guys are in negotiation. And like I said, man, shout out to Team James, Team Charlo, Lions Only, all those guys. Shout out to Castano. Castano will be back in the mix. I know they're saying that a few other people want to get in the mix, but I think that they should have to get in there and tussle with Brian Castano. Hopefully that people won't start pushing Castano back down the ladder acting like he's washed up, because he's not. That dude is going to destroy a lot of people. He really is. And so I can't wait. 154 is heating up. Well, it's already heated up. It's already one of the baddest right now because of Jermell and the fights that he's chose. It's one of the baddest divisions out there, you know. It might not be the glamour division as the welterweight division, but it's right there at it, man. It's right there. And I think that we got to start saying that the people that are covering boxing and that kind of stuff, it falls on us to talk highly of those guys, because, you know, when those guys are not fighting, you know, we don't really talk to them, you know, talk about and stuff, because we have those favorite fighters that we all love, and that's the one that we tend to stay in the news and we tend to talk about all the time. But we definitely need to talk about Jermell, who is now undisputed. He's the number 7th fighter in the world to ever be undisputed, in the 7th fighter in the 4-belt era of being undisputed, guys. Anyway, so the next fight that's going to be coming up real soon is going to be Devin Haney, and see what Devin Haney's going to do with Kambosos down there in Australia. But, guys, that was straight up no chaser. So give me your thoughts in the comment section. Let me know if you agree, if you disagree, and what your points are. Hey, I'm here for all the smoke, guys. And make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Just hit the like button. Hit the bell icon button, man. So when I do these videos, you'll be notified. Plus, it helps the channel grow. And if there's something about the channel that you do not like, put it in the comment section. Give me a chance to see how I feel about it. Maybe I can make the necessary changes if it goes within reason to what I'm saying. Maybe it's something I'm missing in boxing, something else you'd like to see, or something else you don't like, you know? So like I said, I'm here working for you guys. And hopefully you guys are entertained by these videos that I do. Until next time, guys, I'm out. Peace.